Content warning. Alice is Missing revolves around the disappearance of a teenage girl and references hard topics such as depression, bullying, and potentially sexual misconduct or non-consent. Viewer and player discretion is advised. Imagine a group of friends trying to figure out what happened to their friend Alice. Their communication exclusive to text message. It's getting late, and everyone has a secret that may help reveal the mystery revolving her disappearance. You are one of those friends. You have 90 minutes. And oh yeah, this must be carried out in complete silence. This is Alice is Missing. Before we get started, hello, I'm Artsy at the Artsygamer. I make art, play games, and encourage others to do the same. Unlike my previous game reviews where I feature parts of the gameplay in the video itself, I'll be drawing a scene of my gaming group's rendition of the RPG tabletop game Alice is Missing while I talk to you about the game itself. Though not related to the game and not sponsored by these products, I used Clip Studio Pro X on a Huon Canvas Pro 20 tablet to draw the scene, and tested a few of the many digital paintbrushes available at True Grit Texture Supply. I'll be sure to leave links in the description for these products and highly recommend each one of them for any artist wanting to get into digital comic work with realistic looking brushes. True Grit Texture Supply's brushes are also available for Photoshop, Procreate, Illustrator, and Affinity, so whatever you're using to draw, they'll likely have brushes for your specific software. With that, let's get started. Alice is Missing was developed by Spencer Stark at Hunters Entertainment as an immersive RPG played entirely via text message and without verbal communication between the players, and designed to be a one-off game, meaning you play it once and pass it on. It revolves around the disappearance of Alice Briarwood, high school junior at Franklin Academy in the small town of Silent Falls in Northern California. The physical copy is available for $21.99 USD, but is also available for Roll20 and in PDF for $19.99 and $11.99 respectively. I'm going to tell you right now that I loved this game. So much I was inspired to make a comic page about it and tempted to turn our specific story into a fully realized webtoon. The experience still sits with our gaming group weeks later, and I still think about it. What if I handled it differently? What if I'd sent someone else to Alice's last known location? I rank Alice is Missing a solid 8.5 out of 10 and highly recommend it for a small group of friends who want to whet their role-playing palette and have experience with tabletop RPGs. It's perfect for in-person gaming but also great for remote play. I'll be sure to go into more detail why it wasn't a 10 out of 10 for our group at the end of the video, but rest assured, we loved this game. It's worth the purchase. It's worth the 90 minutes. I have to tell you, the mechanics of this game are unlike anything I've experienced. The game runs over a single session of roughly 2 to 3 hours with 3 to 5 players. In the first 45 minutes, players create their characters, their relationships to Alice, and their ties with each other. The next 90 minutes are spent uncovering secrets and unearthing clues in the attempt to discover where Alice is and who is behind her disappearance. You have the option to play the following characters, although Charlie Barnes is always the moderator and is always in play. Depending on the size of your gaming group, other characters may be excluded, but your options are Charlie Barnes, the one who moved away, Jack Briarwood, the brother, whom I played in our version of the game, Julia North, the secret girlfriend, Dakota Travis, the best friend, and Evan Hallwell, the one with the crush. In our game, Evan wasn't in play due to our group consisting of 4 players, but I'll get into that later. The beauty of this game's character design is that it's incredibly LGBTQIA+ friendly, and you are the designer of these characters, what they look like, what their preferences are. Although there is a PDF version of the game, the physical version is beautifully designed in a small box that packs a wallop for immersive play. You are provided cards that are essential to your character development, like a secret that needs to be revealed by the end of the game, as well as timer-based clue cards. As the 90 minutes are counting down, each player is given a series of cards at random to be revealed at specific times to incorporate into the story. You also have location cards, where your character may end up at. Or perhaps you reveal a person who may be behind Alice's disappearance. The game starts with a missing poster, and the beauty of this game isn't that there's just one Alice, there's 10. Which means your gaming group's experience with Alice's missing is truly unique, and your interpretations of your Alice and your version of these characters will send you down a path like no other. And after you pick your Alice, your characters, your drive-in character cards, you then leave a voicemail which will be listened to by the whole group at the end of the game, perhaps revealing clues that could have helped or hindered finding Alice in time. It's difficult to review this game without spoiling it, but at the same time, our story is so unique to our specific game that I feel I can talk about it and still give you the element of surprise should you decide to pick up this game. The missing poster of our Alice revealed a short and curvy high schooler with a mischievous but kind smile. She has a heart-shaped face, long straight hair, which is brown, with green eyes. Our Alice became a bit of a scene kid, dyeing her hair, wearing expressive dark makeup, the kind of student who towed the line of self-expression, good grades, and getting into trouble. She had a fake ID, went to not-so-great places, partied with not-so-great people, but was generally well-liked and welcome wherever she went. Playing Jack, her brother, brought an interesting inside perspective of Alice that allowed for the other players to start understanding her home life. I played Jack as a reserved, frustrated young man who kind of blamed his sister for getting into this mess with how she's been acting lately. Since the summer that Charlie moved away, Alice became secretive, moody, prone to being out late, sometimes overnight. It wasn't until one day became 2 days that the Briarwood family got nervous. She didn't show up at the school. That was unusual. And so Charlie, the one back for winter vacation with his dad after his parents' divorce, reaches out to the old gang, asks how everyone's doing and wanting to make plans to meet up, and, oh, by the way, have you heard from Alice? She never returned my texts. And Dakota, Julia, and Jack tell him Alice is missing. Being not particularly mobile texting-oriented people, our gaming group used Discord to set up a server that had a group chat, and individual chats for each player and one other. Interestingly, the time crunch of 90 minutes made the individual chats less popular than I expected, and we mostly focused on the group chat and piecing together what may have happened to Alice. It was only in the last 10 minutes, actually the last 5 minutes in the game, where a crucial moment in our story happened between Charlie and Jack, my character. And when the time went out, I was sitting there in stunned silence looking at Charlie's player, sitting with the decision I'd made, and the impact I'd unintentionally left on the whole group. What I liked about the game was not only the unique mechanic incorporating text and play in complete silence, I appreciated the representation of realistic young person struggles in the cards themselves, the desire to be liked or popular, the various antagonists that take shape in a high schooler's life, whether it's a bully, a popular kid, a teacher, an ex, or a creep, and the various places that are so integral to understanding a person's story. A lot of the background information in developing our characters didn't even come into play, but was such a phenomenal reveal as the game finished. In our game, Dakota had cheated on an assignment, and both she and Alice broke into the school to get it back. This played a huge part in why the teacher could have been so up on Alice's case in the beginning when Charlie mentioned Alice talking to him about it, but that never came up in game. We also had a series of red herrings because the ex, Ryan, also was determined to be missing, but we never followed through with that link to Alice. His disappearance had nothing to do with what actually happened in the end. There was also an instance of the creep CJ messaging Alice on Instagram, and the bully Bria threatening Alice in the school bathroom. But the true representation of how the cards are beautifully designed, not only in mechanics but in illustration, was the card that led to Julia's player revealing the popular kid David at her door looking for Alice's denim jacket. And in perfect sequence, I playing Jack, find her jacket at one of the locations. That part of the game literally gave me chills, which naturally I had to turn into a comic. I mentioned this before, but there are consequences, dire consequences that are possible in this game. You may find Alice, or not. You may get hurt, or not. There was something so inherently and hauntingly realistic about this game, a group of kids scrambling to piece together a bunch of relevant and irrelevant information, jumping to conclusions, dealing with the messiness of friendships and romantic relationships, blaming Alice, blaming themselves, wishing things were different, feeling scared, feeling angry, feeling hopeless. It's hard to really talk about what this game lacked because I don't feel I have the vocabulary to adequately describe what this game needs to be a perfect game. But I will say my gaming group unanimously agreed that 90 minutes wasn't enough time. It was interesting because the developer said to expect silence or lull moments, but our group felt like every time a clue card was revealed at a specific interval, it was time for the next one. Time truly flew by, and just as we were really getting to know our characters, the game was over. The only problem is I don't think Alice is Missing can be redesigned to add more time. It was perfectly curated to be played out in 90 minutes. There was also a mechanic that felt redundant or repetitive, but again, I can't pinpoint it. I think it was around our character development and not in the actual gameplay itself. The other thing is, I think if you're not going to have all the characters played, that perhaps Jack should be left out. Not that playing Jack wasn't enjoyable for me, or wasn't a powerful tool in storytelling to give other players insight into Alice's home life, but it almost felt like cheating in a way, like there was less mystery and more of my determining of how things were in the game. I also struggled with trying to answer the question, where were the parents, and why aren't they trying to make calls and the like? Sure, Alice had missing posters in the school that both she and Jack went to. But why wasn't Jack with his parents or at the police station and completely ignoring his friends because something significantly more important was going on? I think if Evan was also in play, I could have played Jack differently, more distracted. Instead, I think it was a creative error on my part to not consider those things for our session. In our game, Mr. and Mrs. Briarwood were at the hospital, dealing not only with Mrs. Briarwood's health, but leaving all of that responsibility to Jack to see if this was just another Alice tantrum. Going back to Evan, I think not playing a close relative to Alice would have been an interesting puzzle piece that wouldn't have been available to us. And how would the one with the crush have interacted with the secret girlfriend? This isn't a mark against the final score, but I disagree with the developers that Alice is Missing is a one-off game. I understand their sentiment that the intention is to play these characters once and not be colored by your previous gameplay. But I do think experienced RPG players and close-knit gaming groups can play this game multiple times and have it be a unique experience. My gaming group will likely play again, and we'll see if our sentiments of the time crunch and that character development redundancy that I talked about was based on a player error or a game error. To tie up this review, a beautifully intricate and deeply felt game that truly humanized the struggles a young person experiences day to day, and the importance of finding your people who will stop at nothing to find you. This is the perfect game to order pizza while figuring out your character, find your preferred seat in the living room with your phone or laptop in hand, and to turn on the timer with its haunting music to count down the 90 minutes until Alice is possibly found. And friends, this doesn't even consider the expansion, which met its Kickstarter goal in spades in March of this year, with new relationship cards, new suspects, new discoveries. So truly, this game is limitless in how the story reveals itself, and I cannot wait to play again. I hope you enjoyed this type of game review, and if you haven't liked the video yet, please do so as it really helps me out, and subscribe for more Artsy content. If you've played Alice is Missing, what did you think of the game? Are you stoked for the upcoming expansion? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And with that, friends, I'll catch you next time. Bye!